My experiences with mold toxicity and anxiety slash panic attacks. I had my first panic attack after, which I didn't know at the time. Again, I'm totally not having a clue what is going on. Now I know. But I was teaching kindergarten at the time, and I just had moved into this new school, which I'm sure has a mold issue. Can't prove it. I was also living in mold, and I just had moved into there, and that's when my mast cell activation, my immune system really had enough of it by then, and so that's when I started noticing, like when I would eat things or stress would cause the mast cell activation. I was in the middle of a flare with that. Like I said, didn't know it at the time. And I was teaching reading to a group of kindergartners. And our reading program that we were using at the time was stressful anyway. And I'm a perfectionist, and I really wanted to do a good job. And I was really driving myself insane. So I was in the middle of a flare. I was being affected by mold in 2 different places, and couldn't, I'd not being able to breathe, and just the stress of teaching kids, is enough to cause anybody to go crazy. And but then after I got through with the group, I was like, oh gosh, I've got to get out of this room. And thankfully, I had a para, and I was like, I gotta go. And so I went to the bathroom and closed the door and just got into a corner and just fell to my knees. I couldn't breathe. My heart was racing, and I was just feeling this feeling of electricity or this vibration or whatever, and just tears, and just the feeling of total just I don't even know how to explain it, but and I was like going like, what is wrong with me? And like I said, I was just in a fetal position in the middle of the bathroom floor. Somehow, I don't even know how, I got myself out of it, and I carried on with my day. It is exhausting when you have a situation like that, and I don't. And that was before I knew anything about tapping or anything about what was going to be a strategy that I could use for anxiety. I did end up, I think it may have been that time, it may have been another time. Heart palpitations were so bad. I went to my doctor, which was, he was sort of, I was going to him for thyroid issues because he was more with it and was more non-conventional in his ways of dealing with thyroid. But they didn't have a clue what was going on with me. Put me up to the EKG or whatever they do for measuring heart problems. And of course, that wasn't it. And they didn't even say that it was a panic attack. They didn't know. But yeah, the heart palpitations with being exposed to my classroom situation and to my home environment that I had put myself into, they were not able to sleep with that. Terrible anxiety. So, yeah, like I said, I don't know how I got out of it then. Once I finally realized that I was definitely having some, when I started my teaching job at the high school later, I had another attack. And then you feel like it was like depersonalization kind of thing, where you feel like you're out of your body. You're not even in yourself. Very emotional. And my first year teaching high schoolers, trying to figure out how in the world to deal with high schoolers. And then they knew that that they could see I couldn't see it. I didn't think that I was having issues as I was, but they could definitely tell that something was, that I was high strung for sure. And I didn't see that, but I knew at this point in time that I was definitely having an issue with anxiety. And that's when I started the tapping and could tell that it was definitely helping with that, but I didn't know any other strategies to use at that point in time. Yeah, the limbic system retraining definitely helped. Decreasing the mast cell activation and figuring out how to manage that was really big in decreasing levels of anxiety. I had even, because I had that bad reaction, the anxiety attack, my panic attack that I had at the high school, I had to leave my classroom, and I got in trouble for that. And I didn't know at the time that mold toxicity was causing it or whatever. And I was like, okay, I've got to have some help with this because there's definitely a problem. Didn't know what it was. And if I don't do something, then I'm going to lose my job because I can't handle my stuff. And so I went to see a psychologist because I started looking into generalized anxiety disorder, and I needed a diagnosis of some sort that I could give to my principal or to the district or whatever, so that I could at least have some kind of accommodation if I had, or at least they knew that I was having this trouble. Not that I knew, again, that it was mold. And so I went to the psychologist, and he diagnosed me with GAD, which was generalized anxiety disorder. And I gave that, and I told them, I don't know what this is coming from, but I'm having a really hard time with this. So this is just in case I might need some time out, and I might need to tell somebody. And after I did that, I did for a while, I was able to manage it, and I felt like I was doing okay. And I did start to look into more strategies for dealing with it, but I could definitely tell that sometimes my anxiety was worse than others. And eventually I started to put the symptoms together. When it would be worse is when I was having a reaction to food or to supplements, which then I found out what that was after 7 years, the mast cell activation, which was causing when my symptoms were worse and when they were better. So being aware so that you can take action and just try to calm things down. But calming the nervous system and getting out of the environment that's causing the attack is just still key. But yeah, we just have to do what we can to alleviate the symptoms. But just know that it's from an inability to handle things in your nervous system, the dysregulation of your nervous system, and the amount of inflammation that is occurring because of the mycotoxins. And that is what is causing high levels of anxiety. So we just have to do what we can to alleviate that. It's easier said than done. I know it. I know it's hard. And it takes time, it takes perseverance, it takes patience, it takes somebody to help you, like in the medical, like a functional doctor. It can get pricey, but I am here to help you in any way that I can. So if you are experiencing severe anxiety with a potential mold exposure or mold, you know that you have mold toxicity, please just get in touch with me and I will help you any way that I can.